International borders, those imaginary lines that dictate where one country ends and another one starts. This age-old system has been in use for thousands of years, and usually borders are pretty straightforward. Emphasis on usually, because while something like a river would make a pretty good international border in theory, rivers gradually change course over time, which would just further confuse what land belongs to who. Or sometimes the river just stops existing altogether. The point I'm trying to make here is that oftentimes, something as simple as an international border can easily be made overcomplicated. As is the case with the village of Barl in the countries of Belgium and the Netherlands. This mess of lines is made up of 16 Belgian exclaves of Dutch territory, which in turn surround 7 more Dutch areas. I suppose I should probably explain what exactly an exclave is. To put it simply, an exclave is a part of a country that is separated from the main part of the country by a neighboring country, which describes whatever's going on in Barl rather well. The village of Barl is further split into 2 separate municipalities, with Barl-Nassau being used to describe the Dutch part and Barl-Hertog being used to describe the Belgian part. Now you may be understandably wondering how this headache of a border ever actually came to be. The answer is relatively straightforward. So way back in 1198, the Duke of Brabant was all like, "Hey, you see that marshland over there? Yeah, it looks like prime real estate to me." So then he built a village there. But after a little while, he decided to go over to the Lord of Breda, and he was all like, "Hey there, buddy chum pal, you want some real estate?" And so then he gave some of the land to the Lord of Breda, but he kept the land that was paying him rent. So basically, the part that the Duke of Brabant kept is today part of Belgium, and the part given to the Lord of Breda is now part of the Netherlands. Now you may be wondering, how did the borders stay like this for so long? And honestly, I think it's just because no one wanted to deal with the headache of figuring out exactly what was going on here, so no one ever did. The thing about Barl is that the international border is officially marked on the ground, so you know what country you're in at all times, which is handy when navigating the exclaves. Another thing about the border is that it often goes through buildings, meaning that people's houses are sometimes split between 2 countries at once. So if you live in 2 countries at the same time, how exactly do you figure out which country you pay your taxes to? There are 2 solutions to that question. The first is to simply commit tax evasion, and the second, less legal option, is to figure out what country your front door is in. If your front door is in Belgium, then your address is Belgian, and vice versa. And normally in scenarios like this, life for people living in these ridiculous borders can be fairly bad, as at times they may be completely surrounded by another country, with no access to basic necessities and stuff like that. But in the case of Barl, Belgium and the Netherlands are both part of the EU Schengen area, which means that anybody can travel freely between both countries without the need for passport or tolls. So anyway, these borders are a disgrace to humanity, and let's just hope something like this never happens again anywhere else.